Hey, welcome back to this style of content. My name is Damianos. This has left the Abyss. I am not returning to this shrine on a happy note, however. Not that it ever would be a happy note. Body count of black victims of our state's law enforcement continues to climb, and it's absolutely no accident. Dante Wright was shot and killed on April 11th by Officer Kimberly Potter during a traffic stop over an air freshener on the rearview mirror, which is apparently illegal in Minnesota. During this stop, they found him to have an outstanding warrant over carrying a handgun without a permit. As he was being arrested, he broke free of them and got in the car again. During this moment, Potter draws her handgun, which is held in her hand for about 7 seconds before she fired it into his side, previous to shouting, "I'll tase ya," and "taser" 3 times. Her excuse is that she intended to shoot him with her taser gun, but accidentally shot him with her handgun. This happened 10 minutes from the site of George Floyd's murder during Chauvin's trial. Now, there has to be another one. There are a few important things to consider that compound to make this excuse extremely dubious, so let's go over these facts really quick just to continue to paint this picture. I personally find it pretty ridiculous that this is not the other way around. However, it is standard for a police officer's deadly weapon to be on the side of their dominant hand, typically their right side, with the taser on the opposite side. I'd like to really quickly say you might have some good results from a change, making the decision to pull out the handgun, the deliberate one, rather than implicitly encouraging officers to grab their gun from their dominant side. Anyhow, part of this alleged mistake includes not realizing she grabbed from the wrong side of her body to retrieve her less than lethal weapon. Less than lethal because lethality is still possible for those with heart conditions, by the way. Wrong side, which a trained officer should know by instinct. This is one factor. Another factor, a fully loaded Glock weighs about 2 pounds. A taser weighs about half of 1 pound. Basically, a taser has the hand feel of a toy gun, lightweight, as it has much less components and hefty material than a handgun. The handgun, on the other hand, is a hefty chunk of steel. If you have ever held a handgun, it has a weight which requires you to use some muscle to hold outward. It is not unwieldy by any means, but it is also a very noticeable weight, as the difference between pointing a toy gun and a handgun are not even comparable in the way it feels. Put a 2-pound dumbbell in your hand and then put a Nerf pistol in your hand. Feel the difference for yourself. You could probably manage to lift 2 pounds with your one arm pretty easy, but you also definitely notice you're carrying something with some heft. And I did mention this before, but I will reiterate. The handgun was held in front of her body in a pointing position for 7 seconds. Count to 7, silently, with me real quick. Don't worry, I have an impeccable supernatural sense of time, so I'll keep track for you. Ready? 1. Sorry, just making sure you're paying attention and are taking this shit seriously. 7 seconds, got it? By the time she shot, her hand was fully extended and point blank with Dante's body. Few more factors. It was broad daylight, the taser is colored yellow, Dante was not being threatening, and his girlfriend was in the car with him. And of course, as I fucking said, if you're a police officer, you're trained not to do that. This is not the only time this has happened, and it's fucking disgraceful. Here's the thing. She says it was an accident, but that was a pretty damn stupid accident if it was. In the case of this actually being a mistake, it is such a severe example of negligence that it might as well be homicidal. Who else other than a police officer would be able to make that excuse? A court wouldn't hear it for a second, but this is going to be the whole argument for this individual in court. She is being charged with second-degree manslaughter, which is because trying to charge for homicide is harder against a police officer. But what we all know at the very least is that she is guilty of gross negligence of a fatal degree. A mistake, if it was a mistake, so irresponsible that punishment must still be severe and unwavering. She killed somebody, a 20-year-old father of a young child with a family he was close with. He once had a life, and it mattered. Now he's dead and left a lot of people with loss, including his son. I do give a fuck because it does make a difference, but I also don't give a fuck if it was an accident. She recklessly shot and killed a boy with such lack of care that it might as well be murder regardless. In the eyes of this country, she will be a murderer, which is just as well deserved regardless of intent. Either she's a dangerous idiot with a gun, or a clever killer. She's not even going to claim that she could be anything else. She had to flee her house. I wonder if she was afraid. Doesn't even compare to the people she affected that day. So hey, get a taste of the stress you cause. Same night as this occurred, there were protests which were violently cracked down on by police. Big surprise, it turned towards riot. Not big surprise, because this is what police escalation causes, as shown time and time again. You can cry for peace, and you can disown the people who riot, but will you ever stop to consider why this happens? You say don't burn down your own town, but black Americans don't feel like they have a fucking stake in their towns. They aren't the owners of these towns. That'd be primarily white people. It's, in fact, an incredibly white sentiment to consider the place you happen to live your town. Maybe for you, if not personally yours, it feels more like it's connected to you than most black Americans feel. Now imagine people like you have been constantly killed by the state, and you try to protest and are met with tear gas. You're prodded at every step. The state agents rile up crowds, and then, oh no, look at that. They can spin your response as overblown and make the story about the burning property. But motherfuckers, if profit-centric property is your concern and that distracts you from the reason people are pissed off, you may just be racist enough for some buildings to mean more to you than a black person's life, and the lives of all the others who died. You can think it's not okay to riot, but can you not understand why people do it? Don't worry about it. If a target burns, nothing of value was lost, and the company insurance kicks in. A black man dies, something of value was lost. Human life. You're lucky the people are calm and collected enough not to seek an equivalent exchange. They want to be heard, and guess what? Every time they do it peacefully, they're suppressed, attacked, ignored, and maligned. King vouched for peace, and got a huge following for his sentiment. But it was his murder and the rage of the people that convinced the state to pass their civil rights. Prioritize your concerns, or introspect why you feel like brick-and-mortar destruction is more important than black life. Was it a mistake? I'm not sure, and I cannot tell you. But it's so fucking dubious. It was either an absurd, deadly mistake, or yet another intentional police homicide. I remind you, George Floyd's murder is being defended as an absurd, deadly mistake. It matters, the intent, but I personally call a mistake this unwarranted tantamount to murder. Police officers should be held to a higher standards, but unfortunately, we tend to give them the benefit of the doubt. Doesn't unkill your fucking victim, Kimberly. You deserve more than whatever you receive. Don't kill people. It's just that easy. During the preparation for this video, a 13-year-old, Adam Toledo, a young POC, was shot after a foot chase when the adult accompanying him ditched a firearm into his hands. He ran, dropped the gun, and raised his empty hands, only to be shot dead. They tell you to raise your hands, but remember, following police instruction can sometimes be as fatal as noncompliance. Put your hands up. Crawl to me. Put your hands up. Get out of the car. Put your hands up. This has been Left the Abyss. We will be doing more of these scripted style videos with the intent of being consistent. However, between my duties in hell and Nick's full-time job, doing this as well as finding time to stream may be difficult to do every week on a consistent basis. The algorithm hasn't really noticed our effort to do so, so we're going to focus on just consistently working on content, even if we miss a week here and there. One day, hopefully this will be Nix's income source, and the devil, who at least for the moment happens to be Lil Nas X, lets me off the hook a little bit. That way, we can focus on delivering plenty of content throughout the week. We look forward to it. Either way, we continue to chase this passion of ours. For more lefty takes on shit, subscribe to this channel, and remember to go to twitch.tv/lefttheabyss and follow to catch our streams when they happen. As always, thank you for watching Left the Abyss, mortals. Subscribe. And don't worry, you should be angry.